You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Rolling. Don't use any of this. Don't.
Okay, carry 3.
They love you. You know.
This is Princess Leia Organa. You're listening to Planet Leia.
Permission is granted to land on Planet Leia. Brought to you by Fantha Tracks. Here are your hosts, Claire Henry and Johanna Nibielios.
Hello everybody, and we break up our normal programming for a Rebel briefing. We have an interruption caused by no one other than Vivien Lyra Blair, who everybody knows played Princess Leia in Obi-Wan, the Disney Plus show. Thanks ever so much, Vivien, for coming on Planet Leia. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I've just finished school. I'm a teacher, so I've just finished school, and I believe you're about to get cracking with your schooling with your mum this morning, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I've just finished. I'm a museum educator, so I've been taking care of lots of classes today who've been to the museum where I work.
So we're all in education of some sort, aren't we?
Yes.
Vivien, it was fabulous to meet you at Star Wars Celebration. First of all, I'm assuming you had a good time?
Yes, it was awesome.
So what was your highlight? What were the best bits of Celebration for you?
Well, I really liked seeing everyone again for the Obi-Wan Kenobi panel. It was really awesome. It was a little reunion for us, and I hadn't seen them since last Celebration at the premiere. Well, I think I'd done like a few things with Indira, like convention-wise, but this is the first time I've been with all of them together again, and it was really awesome.
It was a great panel. It was lovely to see everybody together. I'll be honest, it looked like you had been seeing each other all the time. You all just slotted back into place again. I liked you and Ewan giggling about certain things. What was the funniest thing remembering about Obi-Wan on the panel? What did you like the best?
Well, I feel like there were lots of on-set funny stories that, like, Ewan's joke where he said whenever it gets too overwhelming, always remember that it's men in bathrobes playing with glow sticks. And like there would always be little jokes between us like that, but it was just so nice to see him again and be able to have that dynamic again.
When you were on the panel, and obviously the last time people in Celebration saw you, you were just in the big reveal. And then this time it was like, you're here. It was like, oh my goodness, because nobody had a clue. I remember Johanna and I, when we were talking about Obi-Wan, we were guessing it was going to be about a grumpy old man.
No one really expected to see Princess Leia. Since none of us were at Celebration in Anaheim, it was like seeing it on the screen. It was like, wow, it's Princess Leia.
And it was wonderful. And obviously, because we are Planet Leia, we are huge Leia fans. So how was the reaction being back in Celebration and everybody knowing who you were, you know, your part to play in Obi-Wan? How did you feel about all that?
Well, I mean, it was so amazing because there was no lingering nervousness, you know, anymore that they weren't going to like me, you know, because at first Celebration, you know, it was the first time anyone was seeing it all. So I was really nervous, you know, they were going to like me. They were going to like the way the story went. But this time around, getting to really meet all the fans and do all the photos and signing and getting to do the panels and have everybody cheer at the scenes that I spent days filming. It's really just incredible.
So when you met the fans, I know from experience being, you know, going getting autographs and things like that, what was either the most strange or the nicest thing that people brought to you when you were giving out your autograph?
Well, what was really interesting was at Celebration, I get a lot of like craft makers that come up and they actually make me things that like they handmade. And I think the one that I was most like, wow, was a woman made me like a hoodie that was specially designed for me. It had like Lola on the pocket and it says the sass is strong with this one on the back. And I mean, I wear it everywhere now. It's my favorite coat. and it's exactly my size. And I was just like, wow, thank
Whoa,
you.
that is awesome. That
And
is
somebody also heard that I liked hippos, so they brought me these little discontinued McDonald's Star Wars hippos figure. Because hippos are like our family spirit animal, and I was just like, oh my goodness! And I looked it up, and like they haven't been around for like 10 years or something, and I was just like, thank you.
I remember seeing those hippos, Star Wars hippos, people doing them as cosplays when I was in Germany. And yes, that was like 10 years ago. I saw the Star Wars hippo characters.
Hi, this is Julie Dolan, the voice of Princess Leia, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks. It's your only hope.
Since I'm a costumer and a cosplayer, and I started with Star Wars cosplay more than 20 years ago. So, of course, I'm very curious. What was your favorite costume when you were as Leia?
That's difficult. I mean, I had a lot of cool ones on set. I really liked the final outfit when she's in the white and she has the holster and she has her hair up and like the kind of two buns that are wrapped around and it kind of evolves into the side cinnamon buns kind of thing. And it was just really so Leia, and that was her, and that was who I was playing, and it was so clear at that moment, and it was towards the end of the shoot as well. Like it timed out really well because they don't film scenes in order, so you're kind of like filming the end scene and then you film the beginning scene, and you're like, okay. But like the day before wrap, we shot the one where Ewan was saying goodbye, and it was really meaningful because we were going to say goodbye like a day later because I was done, a day later. So it was really cool how it timed out. It was finally the moment when I really felt like I was Leia, and it was just so incredible.
I mean,
that's the magic of costumes, isn't it? Like all of a sudden you're a totally different person. Another thing when like as a cosplayer, we have a saying that nice and good looking and spectacular isn't comfortable. Were your costumes comfortable to wear or were they a bit cumbersome?
Mostly they were actually pretty great. All my costumes had to be handmade because they couldn't do anything that looked store-bought because it's space, So when I did my first fitting, it was like 4 hours of them measuring like every inch. Like they measured like here and like here and like here. Every single part of me they measured so that they could make these amazing costumes. And so since the fabrics were all like they let me choose what kind of fabrics I like. It was pretty comfortable. There were the tights in that end scene. I'm just not a fan of tights, but honestly,
who is a fan of tights, to be honest? I mean, why should anyone ever wear tights?
That's what I'm saying.
They are the devil to wear. I am fully with you. My daughter, who's 14, would also agree with you. Even when it gets to -8 here, she still goes to school in her skirt and her little tiny socks. She hates wearing tights. So we're with you. Yeah. We're with you.
I was mostly, the costumes were really awesome though. It was really cool because I didn't have to deal with like finding a place for the lav mic all the time. Because there was this little pocket that the costumer had sewed inside of that big green coat I was wearing. So they just put the mic pack in there and then clipped down. So I didn't have to deal with like a waistband or anything. It was really awesome.
With your hair, how long did it take you to get ready before it was time to shoot?
The first times it was sometimes more than an hour. But once the hair people actually had done it multiple times, it became more of a 30-minute thing. It actually wasn't too bad. They just put my hair in like 2 braids and then they added 2 fake braids. So it was kind of funny. It was like 2 braids coming down and then they added this little pin cushion thing right here that wrapped around the braids. And then they brought it all up and they wrapped it around into the bun and then they pinned it and they actually sewed it. They had like needle and thread that they sewed it into place. And then I just went and I filmed. And then at the end of the day, I pulled all the pins out. They cut the sew out and then took all of it. It was kind of funny, though, because afterwards, my hair was just like, poof. It was really funny.
Lots of conditioner on it that night. And I suppose you can go home wearing it because people would have guessed what you'd been doing.
Yeah, and plus I would be happy to get out of it because sometimes the pins would poke me and stuff. So
Yeah. And you said that you got to choose the materials and things. Did you have any other sort of input with costumes, or had that already been designed ready?
yeah, I mean, like I always tend to have a lot of opinions on everything that happens on set, and the costumer Jen, she was really awesome, really accommodating. She made the mic thing work, and it was really easy to kind of say, hey, I think this would be more efficient if you put the tape on this button or something. And then, yeah, it would work or it wouldn't work. And I'd be like, okay, and it happened a lot with like scenes too. I'd be like, what if we tried this at the end of the scene? And Deb could be like, oh, interesting. Okay, let's try one with it, one with and one without. And then she would be like, either we would both be like, I don't know, it might not work, or yeah, that's really great. We should put that in. And then we would kind of move on. I remember one of my very favorite moments was on set when Ewan is swimming over to the Fortress Inquisitorius to find me. There are these little Imperial fish that are all in the ocean. And when the water comes in and drowns the stormtroopers after we escape, I was like, why aren't there any fish in that water? There are tons of fish out in the water outside. So Deb was like, interesting. So if you watch it now, you can see little fins of Imperial fishies floating by. And whenever I see it, I know that that was my idea to put the Imperial fishies.
I love it. Actually, for my May the 4th celebrations, that's what I did. I sat and watched Obi-Wan from start to finish. I had a day off work and I started it in the morning and watched it all the way through. But now that I know that, I'm definitely going to make sure that I watch to make sure I see the fish. I mean, I am so jealous. I'm going to say now, I'm very old. And when I saw Star Wars for the first time, I was 6 years old. So my person that I loved was Princess Leia. And I remember trying to dress up. I wore a bed sheet over me. I tried to put my hair up in the buns and whatever. So you got to live my dream.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark fanthatracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
With filming, because I know some of it, I'm assuming, was green screen, or you had to sort of imagine.
Actually, that's really interesting that you say that, because it actually wasn't. On projects like We Can Be Heroes, I always had to act kind of the green screen, and like the alien tentacles would be like pool noodles, green pool noodles. So like it was harder. But on Star Wars, they really want to make sure that you're in the moment as possible, you know? And so they had this thing called the volume. It's like that scene when I'm looking out on the balcony at Alderaan, like we could all see that there. And like they touched it up later, so it looked a little bit less pixelated, but I could fully see what I was looking at. And I ships that were actually moving. Really great. The whole thing took like a total of 8 months, I think, including the audition process. Then it would be like a year and 8 months.
So if you're talking to young people like yourself who want to be actors, what qualities then do you think an actor needs?
I don't know. I mean, people ask me this a lot. Like, what can I do to become an actor, especially in Star Wars? I just kind of fell backwards into it. I mean, like I did one little cameo as a favor for a friend. If you guys ever want to see me in my very first project, when I was this big, it was a Band-Aid with Zoe Lister-Jones. I just had a second where I counted them in on the little drums. It was really fun, and it was just a quick one-time thing, and my mom thought that was it, but I was like, I want to do this again. I want to do this again. This was so fun. And mom was like, and then finally she took me to an acting class, and the acting teacher was like, you need to get her an agent. And then I did Waco Bird Box, and then it just kind of built up until this was a very long audition process, and then it just kind of happened. Honestly, like I don't know what kind of advice I'd give actors who want to be in like Star Wars things, because for me it just kind of happened. And with Star Wars, you never really know, because they always list things untitled project or super duper secret code names, dummy size, all this, so you can never really be sure what you're doing. So honestly, it's difficult to to even know what it is. So I think if you're right for a part, you're right for a part.
So I teach primary school, we call it in England, which I think is elementary school. Is it in America?
Yes,
So
I believe
up to 11 years old. I look at
yeah.
you, I see somebody who's very patient. You must be, if like for 1 minute, 1 minute of shot, it takes like a week. I see somebody very determined, very confident. And I look at some of the children and young people in my classes and in my school, and I would sort of say to them, you know, take a look. This is what you need to do. Just be determined, just be patient, be calm, know what you want to do. You seem to know, like you said, once you did that little cameo, you knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah, you know, it with acting, it's really if you know, and that's kind of it. And maybe some people it'll be less strong of a pull than it was to me. But I think, like you were saying, confidence is definitely a very important part of it, because if you don't have the confidence to walk into an audition room and say, I think I'm the one you're looking for, then you're not going to be able to get anything. And that confidence has to be something that you can have. Because for me, people wanted me because I was able to, like, I was confident enough that I could be around adults without being like freezing up, you know? And I had that I think got me most of the roles that I've had today, because people expect me to be nervous about everything, you know? But I'm really not. I'm just excited to be doing what I love doing. And I think if you really love what you're doing, then it's going to come off on camera and people are going to know that you want to be there. And that's what gets jobs.
When you were in Celebration, did you meet many young people when you were there and have a chat to them?
Sometimes. I mean, at the autograph table, it tends to be like adult collectors, but every once in a while, I'll see a kid around my age, and it's so sweet. I just love seeing them and hanging out with them, and so amazing to know that people my age are inspired by me. It's something I would never think, you know, but incredible.
In your spare time, if you ever have spare time, you seem to have a very busy household with your pets and your animals. Is that a lot of your time spent looking after them?
Yeah. I also like to read. I do music lessons. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I, of course, love acting. I like art. I'm not really a good like painter or drawer, but I do like to sculpt sometimes. And I have lots of different things that I like to do in my spare time. But I think acting is definitely my favorite of all of them.
Hello, I'm Ahmed Best, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
You have a new film coming out very soon, isn't it so?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that film?
Well, I think the main theme of The Boogeyman, it's definitely a horror story, is about not being able to let go of your grief and how it comes back to haunt you, literally, whether it's in the form of a terrifying entity or just the fact that it tears you down at some point emotionally. And I think it's about this family who's struggling with grief and not being able to let go of it. And so this monster that feeds off of grief comes into their house and they have to fight it off.
And you play the younger daughter,
I
is that right?
the youngest daughter, yeah. There's Sophie, who plays the oldest daughter, me, who plays the youngest daughter, her sister, and then Chris Messina, who plays our dad.
I am in awe of you doing a horror movie. I can't even contemplate. I mean, my friends all laugh at me, you know, anything zombie, anything horror. I can't even look at it. I'm just
me too.
scared.
I spent the entire time of the cast and crew screaming out of the theater. I saw like the beginning and the end. That was it.
So then how did you overcome your fear then when you were actually, you know, or when you were, you know, filming, or did it not feel scary but when you were in it?
No, it wasn't scary when I was filming. They did have this one thing, which was this VFX boogeyman head that they put on a stick and would wave around inside the scene. And they actually gave it to me as a wrap gift. So now
my God.
It's right there wearing a bucket hat. very terrifying. But I would be like, can I have the tennis ball back, please? I want the tennis ball. Can I please have the tennis ball? But it was fun. And the guy who did the mocap stuff for the Boogeyman, Michael, he was super kind, and he would always try and make things a little more lighthearted on set. I like to joke that the scarier the movie is, the nicer the people are to you on set, because they know they're being scary in the movie. And so, yeah, everyone was just so nice. It wasn't really scary at all on set. It was just fun. And there's a lot of fun things, a lot of little jokes in the movie and stuff when it's not scary. So
yeah, I mean, The Boogeyman is written by Stephen King, one of the most prolific horror writers ever. So it's a great story, I believe. I'm not going to lie, I might, when it comes on streaming, I might watch it. I might watch it behind my
that's a good idea.
I'm not going to dare to watch it. I would love to see you there, but maybe I will see some of the stills or some of the scenes, but I can't watch horror
There's some
films.
very funny moments.
My daughter's already said to me that she's going to watch it, and I'm going to watch it with her. So I've said, okay, I will do that. And then have you got anything else coming up in the future once Boogeyman's released? I think it's released here on the 2nd of June.
Yes, here too. And after that, my birthday is actually 2 days after, June 4th.
Oh.
Fatal Attraction is streaming right now. It's the last episode airs on my birthday, and so I'm in that as young Ellen. And
I'll have to watch that.
there are a few things coming up. I just finished filming a movie called Good Rich, which probably won't be out for a while because editing, takes like a year. But yeah, I've hopefully got some sequels in the making as well. We can only hope.
Listen, we have our fingers crossed for a certain sequel of a certain TV program. Let's put our fingers together and let's pray that the force is strong with us, because that is what we want. That is definitely what we want. And I know that Ewan was trying to get things doing. He said he'd do it.
Yeah, Ewan constantly on set was like, I'd love to do some more sometime. He's constantly hinting.
He just seems to just love Star Wars and love throwing that lightsaber around. He just seems to have so much fun with it.
Yeah, and I do too. I'm honestly thinking, though, it's made pretty clear that he doesn't see Leia again until he saves her in the Imperial Fortress and she sends him the note, and A New Hope. And so I was saying, like, I don't know how I would fit into a season 2 if I were to do it. So maybe I could have like a cameo as a teenager or something. But what we were thinking is maybe my own show is something that could happen. So
you see,
I definitely think a Princess Leia show showing her growing up, getting into the Senate, we would watch every minute, and we would love it.
Base it on all the Claudia Gray books. Vivien, you've got loads and loads of stuff there from the Claudia Gray books. Let's start we're starting a campaign right here, right now, in Los Angeles,
Princess Leia
Sweden,
show, the Princess Leia Adventures,
and England. We are campaigning for all those things to come through to do it all. Yeah, right. We're going to do that. Vivien, I know we've got to let you get on now with your schooling and get on with all the bits and pieces that you can do. Thank you very much for this special Rebel briefing. On behalf of Planet Leia and Johanna and myself, we'd like to say thank you very much for listening.
If you want to be a part of the action and stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news, visit fantatracks.com or check out the free Fantatracks app through the App Store to follow us on your mobile device. You can reach out to us and send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fantatracks.com. Comment, like, and share on any of our social media feeds at Fantatracks, and be sure to subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Sample for composing the Fantatracks intro and our Planet Leia opening music, and to Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceover. Remember to tune in to Good Morning Tatooine live Sunday evening at 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on Facebook and YouTube. Check out Panther Tracks Radio on Fridays at 7 p.m. UK for new episodes of The Panther from Down Under, Planet Leia, Desert Planet Disc, Start Your Engines, and Cannon Fodder every Tuesday at 7 p.m. UK time for your weekly episode of Making Tracks.
Now, when we finish our show, we have a little bit of a catchphrase, and we would love you to join in with us. We got everybody on our podcast stage. We had a full house. We had nearly 200 people in the room with us on the podcast stage, and we all got them to say our little catchphrase, which is, "We love you, you know." Do you think you can do that for us?
We love you.
We know.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's Making Tracks.